Welcome Exiles. Today I bring you a bit of a different video as this is a build concept instead of a fully fleshed out build. There are a couple of reasons as to why, but before I get into that I would like to show you Lightning Warp Cast on Crit Arc. This all started because I was playing around with Lightning Warp as it's an ability that I've always loved the look of. It really reminds me of a lightning flicker strike, and so I wanted to try and make a build around it but didn't really know how to approach it. So I thought I would just commit to trying it fully, and if it works, it works. This is basically what I've ended up on as the best option after trying out literally tens upon tens of different combinations of skills and supports. I'm using both Lightning Warp and Arc as my main damage sources while fully investing into lightning damage, shock magnitude and crit. You don't need any shock chance on this because Lightning Warp leaves a large area of shocked ground that guarantees shock on enemies as long as they're standing in it. And since we also invest heavily into area of effect, it's quite likely that everything will be standing in it. Arc is a great ability to pair with this as it cannot shock itself but consumes shock on an enemy to release a highly damaging pulse of lightning. Arc itself deals high damage during this particular patch of the game, and there are speculations going around that it is bugged, but shit, what you gonna do? Just wait around? You might as well just use it while it's good. So the idea here is to throw out a ball lightning into a group of enemies that is linked with lightning exposure with increased effect, so hopefully that will apply to some enemies and increase our damage. Then using Lightning Warp to teleport to the ball lightning and cause an explosion which either straight up kills enemies or leaves them at a low enough life for us to be able to cull them, so that then we can once again use Lightning Warp, creating a sort of ping pong effect, and then repeating the cycle of the same thing. As I mentioned before, a bit like Flicker Strike, but lightning and with wands. If you don't already know, Lightning Warp only works if you can teleport to a projectile like Bulb Lightning or if you can cull an enemy, and cull is basically PoE's version of an execute. At the same time, while this is happening, we are also proccing Cast on Crit Arc, which deals great damage but also consumes the shocks, causing those AoE pulses that I mentioned previously. Naturally, to run a cast on crit setup we have a high crit chance, and therefore we must invest into crit multi, which greatly increases our damage. Now this is all great in theory, but while testing it out I found some problems. Firstly, single target is an issue, and while not every build has to be a boss killer, it would be nice to be able to take down a map boss in less than 5 to 10 seconds. What I currently resort to is an Orb of Storms and either spamming Ball Lightning and Lightning Warp or spamming Spark. But neither really work that great. However, I do feel like it could be enough if I just had some better gear, which leads me into the next problem, and that is gearing. This build would greatly benefit from certain uniques, such as Maligaro's Virtuosity, which sets your critical damage bonus to 300%. But since I'm playing it on SSF, it is quite difficult for me to try this out. On the same note, Spirit is an issue as I would love to run Archmage as it pairs perfectly with lightning damage and Convalescence for some more defense, but good Spirit gear can be hard to find in SSF, especially when you also need stats like crit and energy shield. If I want to run Archmage, it means I need to stack mana, so then I would be stacking mana and energy shield as I would probably take Eldritch Battery, which converts all my energy shield into mana, which then again doesn't make sense to do since I'm playing a Lich, an ascendancy that becomes tanky from having energy shield and not converting it to mana. So now I need to respec into either a Blood Mage or completely reroll into a Stormweaver or Chronomancer, which there's no point doing in SSF because of the previously mentioned point of the difficulty of finding gear with things such as mana, crit, energy shield and spirit, while taking care of resistances, possibly life, maybe even recoup if it's a Chronomancer, and still remembering to get lightning damage and spell damage. And it's basically just a lot for me to try and do considering I only have 3 to 4 hours to play each day. And that basically is the short of why this isn't a fully fleshed out build, rather a concept, but I still wanted to share it with you because I want to push more build diversity. Although this isn't a completely new concept, I think it has some potential, and maybe I'll give it another shot if I play a fresh start in trade. I've already leveled a new character, a mercenary, and within 20 hours I'm running tier 10 maps and I'm having a lot of fun. So far I've tried out an explosive grenade build and I'm currently trying an explosive shot build, which is also great. I'm going to try and gear him a bit more and push into tier 15s before I start experimenting with my own builds, but I've already got some ideas as to what I want to try. I feel like that's a mistake I made with the Lightning Warp Lich, as I started experimenting in around tier 10 maps, before allowing myself to get better gear and be comfortable in tier 15s with a well-known build, and now I'm unable to progress further as I die too often with my build, and because I've used all my gold for experimenting, I can't respec into well-known build, so the only real option for me is a reroll. Let me know if you have tried this sort of build. I would love to hear your ideas and opinions. I haven't really seen many people try out Lightning Warp as a main clearing ability, so it would be interesting to see someone put together a proper build. Anyway, with all that being said, thank you for watching, I really appreciate it, and as always, stay exiled.